Good afternoon. It's 4 p.m. on Tuesday, October 28th, 2025, and this is the City of Waterloo's regular Board of Adjustment meeting. I'm John Beckman, Vice Chair of this board, sitting in for Chair Jerry Thornsberry, who is supposed to be back in this seat next month. Also present are board members Craig Holdeman and Roz Smith. We have a little housekeeping business to take care of here. For the benefit of you who are physically present and for those of you who are joining us remote, we typically have 5 board members that sit on this board, but as you can see, there's only 3 of us, which means that when it comes time to make a decision on any request, the decision needs to receive 3 yes votes. If it does not, it is denied, just so that's clear before we get started. Okay. Any other? No? Okay. We have an agenda before us, gentlemen, which is going to be amended by striking request item number 5 from Arif Mustanovich and item number 6, a request from Kevin Rose. Those 2 will be struck from today's proceedings. Also, on item number 7 from Evan William Sadler, the square footage limit to allow for construction of now it's 3,400 square foot accessory structure. And then further down in that, to allow for a height of 18.5 feet. If you'd note those corrections. So, given that, any other adjustments to the agenda that need to be made? If not, I'll take a vote.
I move that we approve the amended agenda.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Carries. Okay. Next is the approval of the September 23rd, 2025 meeting minutes. Is there anything in there that needs to be corrected? I have one item. Near the bottom of page 7, it states the next meeting will be September 23rd. That should actually be today, October 28th. Any other corrections to those minutes? Hearing none. A motion?
I'll move.
Second. Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Okay, so now that means we have 6 decision items to consider at today's meeting. And leading off will be a request from CMBA Architects on behalf of Hawkeye Community College for a special permit for the construction of an 8,000 square foot building for the Sustainable Construction Program and variance to the front yard setback to allow for a 35-foot setback, 15 feet less than the 50 feet required, and a variance to the side yard setback to allow for a 10-foot side yard setback, 40 feet less than the 50 feet required, in the A1 Agricultural District located at 6315 Hammond Avenue. Staff report.
This is Dornoff with staff. The applicant is requesting to build an 8,000 square foot sustainable construction building at 6315 Hammond Avenue, in addition to the existing classroom on the site, and is requesting variances to allow for a 35-foot front yard setback and a 10-foot side yard setback. The request will not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding area. The area is largely made up of agricultural and is to the south of the main Hawkeye Community College campus and just north of the Hawkeye Community College, just north of the Hawkeye Community College Regional Transportation Training Center. The property in question is zoned A1 Agricultural District, zoned as such since the adoption of zoning ordinance in 1969. Surrounding 9 uses and their zoning are as follows. To the north Agricultural, Zone A1 Agricultural District. To the south, Hawkeye Community College Regional Transportation Training Center, Zone A1 Agricultural District. To the east is the Agricultural Zone A1 Agricultural District, and to the west is Agricultural Zone A1 Agricultural District. Parking requirements for a college education building for 10-25-2D, 26C of the zoning ordinance requires one parking space for every person regularly employed on the premises and one parking space for each two students of the maximum occupancy. Also, the section for section 10-25-2, C2 and 3 of the zoning ordinance requires the parking be graded, hard surface, and properly drained. The floor plan shows parking shows 24 spaces and one space for a teacher, which required 13 parking spaces. The same number is being proposed. The new site plan shows 20 additional parking spaces being created. The existing barn in the site will be demolished for the new building. This new building will be for sustainable construction department, which currently is in the main campus of the school, but they need more room, so they're moving out here. The proposed building will need two variances, one to allow for a 35 front yard setback, 15 less than the 50 feet required, and a variance to allow for a 10-foot side yard setback, 40 feet less than the 50-foot required in the A1 agricultural district. Lack of reasonable return. There would not appear to be a lack of reasonable return, as the applicants could construct the building meeting setbacks. Uniqueness, there would appear to be uniqueness to the request, as the building is for school use, and there's no immediate neighbors in the front, and most of the traffic is for the college and adjacent property. And the side yard variance would be adjacent to the college property. Public consideration, there would not appear to be a negative impact on the neighborhood, as staff has not heard any opposition to the request. And most of the neighboring properties are owned by the college or by the college foundation. During tech review, it was noted that engineering would need a drainage plan, and fire department noted the current fire codes could affect the building, both of which are examined during the building review process, and it was noted that the building will be sprinklered, which takes care of the fire code. Therefore, staff recommends the request by CMBA Architects on behalf of Hawkeye Community College for a special permit for the construction of 8,000 square foot building for a sustainable construction program, and variances allow for a 35 front yard setback and a 10-foot side yard setback in the A1 agricultural district located at 6315 Hammond Avenue be approved for the following reasons. The request would be in conformance with the comprehensive plan, future land use map for the area. The request would not appear to have a negative impact to the surrounding area. The request would not appear to have a negative impact upon pedestrian or traffic conditions in the area with the following conditions. That the final site plan meets applicable city codes, regulations, etc., when limited to parking, landscaping, screenage, etc., except as approved by the Board of Adjustment.
Questions for staff? Okay. Anybody in the audience that wishes to speak in favor of this request? Please state your name and address.
Yeah, I'm Mike Toll with CMBA Architects, 3228 Cedar Heights Drive in Cedar Falls. Just here on behalf of the owner again. We did the drawings for this project, and exciting times, I guess, for Hawkeye with the sustainable construction program growing, and as you know, all the projects going on campus, they're finding a new home. So we looked at a couple different sites with them, and this one just seemed like a natural fit for them. So, yeah.
Any questions for Mike? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions, gentlemen? If not, I'll need a motion.
All right, I would move to recommend the approval of the 6315 Hammond Avenue project be approved for the following reasons. The request would be in conformance with the comprehensive plan for future land use map for this area. The request would not appear to have a negative impact upon the surrounding area. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on pedestrian or vehicular traffic conditions in the area with the following condition. The final site plan meet all applicable city codes, regulations, etc., including but not limited to parking, landscaping, screening, drainage, etc., except as approved by the Board of Adjustments.
Second. Question, though. You say we need to have two separate variances?
Well, it's two variances, one for front yard,
I
one
know
for side
that,
yard.
but the way I read it, you wanted two separate ones, that's why I'm questioning. We can make it all on one motion.
Yeah, it's all on one motion, so,
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine, thank
Yeah.
you.
So, yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we got a motion with a first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Proceed. Okay, next item. A request by the Cedar Bend Humane Society for a special permit for operations at the former Camp Runnamut in the M2P Planned Industrial District located at 3225 Airport Boulevard. Staff report.
This is Tamala with staff. Applicant is requesting the approval of a special permit for Humane Society operations at the former Camp Runnama facility at 3225 Airport Boulevard. The request does not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding neighborhood or land use. The request does not appear to have a negative impact on pedestrian or traffic conditions in the area. The lot in question is zoned M2P Planned Industrial District and has been zoned as such since March 13, 1995. Surrounding land uses and their zoning are as follows: northeast, south, and west M2P Planned Industrial District. There is a 12-inch water main running through the property in question and along Airport Boulevard. There is a 30-foot easement on the east property line and a 10-foot easement on the west property line. The future land use map designates this area as industrial. The request is in conformance with the future land use map. Cedar Bend Humane Society is requesting a special permit because it is a nonprofit organization of a philanthropic or educational nature, which is allowed in many zoning districts with special permit approval. As I said, the request does not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding neighborhood or land use or on pedestrian or traffic conditions, as the previous business was a dog daycare, and so there's no anticipation for a negative impact on the surrounding area or in increase of traffic or congestion. Therefore, staff recommends that the request by Cedar Bend Humane Society for a special permit for Humane Society operations at the former Camp Runnama property in the M2P Planned Industrial District located at 3225 Airport Boulevard be approved for the following reasons. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding area. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on pedestrian or traffic conditions in the area.
Questions for staff? Okay, anybody in the audience wishes to speak in favor of this request? Please state your name and address.
Christy Gardner, 1166 West Airline Highway, the Executive Director of the Cedar Bend Humane Society. We're just excited for this expansion. We need to expand our services, and this building is already set up for animals and very close to our facility, so we can use this for adoption events and community outreach stuff. So,
Questions?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Is it Christy?
yes.
So I was curious, was there an uptick in need that you saw expansion as well, or is this really an opportunity to really, I think, expand services?
Kind of both. We do have an uptick in need, but one of the things that the shelter is a lot of community outreach, and we've done a lot of things like low-cost vaccination clinics, dog training classes, just different things like that. And this gives us the space to be able to do that for the public, a little bit more community outreach and adoption events, that type of thing. So not necessarily like housing the animals per se, there'll be animals there, but it's kind of more for community outreach opposed to just like housing strays, if that makes sense. So.
Oh, for sure. I think that's exciting. I think maybe the venue is a good setup for some of the adoption events. It gives more space, and for me, I think it's an exciting opportunity for you all and taking advantage of an existing building. I think that's exciting for the community.
Yep.
So there's a number of improvements that you have been approved on Airline Highway.
Yes.
Will this alter those plans?
We still would like to do a lot of that because our old intake center is very old. But the nice thing with this is this may reduce our capital campaign because instead of having all that outreach footprint in that on that property, we can do a lot of that down the road. And it's literally, like I said, 3 minutes from us. So there's some advantages to that too, like your community outreach, then we're not in the same areas, like we're holding all of the strays, that type of thing. So So we still plan on doing some expansion, as we talked earlier, but this may just kind of help reduce some of the cost of that, so.
And help me understand what activities are going to take place at the former Camp Runnymede?
So we can do adoption events, we can do grooming for the public, we can do low-cost vaccination clinics, we can do dog training classes. We do things like educational classes for like kids, that type of thing. So it'll be just kind of like all of our outreach events that we do.
Okay, so again, no animals will be housed there.
They won't live there. We will have animals, like if we do adoption event, we may say, hey, we have 15 cats that are our longest residents, take them down there, people can come in, we can do a big adoption event, but they're not going to stay there, and they're not gonna like live there overnight. So, or if we do dog training classes, we offer people that adopt from us, we will say we can do dog training classes, then obviously they'll bring their dogs there. So that may be, let's say, Tuesdays and Thursday nights. I mean, and they bring their dogs there for training, but again, those dogs don't live there, if that makes sense, so.
Okay. And you don't anticipate this generating any more traffic than what Camp Runnymede had?
Probably not, because they were a doggy daycare and they were open, like, and they did grooming, they were open, will be open during the day, but like, this will be more like planned events, you know, so actually it'll be probably the same amount of traffic, but not a constant like Camp Runnymede, so.
Got it. Okay. Other questions?
No,
Thank
I
you.
think it's exciting. I think it's exciting. I think 20 years ago when I was a volunteer, it was really difficult to, I think, do puppy adoptions in
Yep.
the current facility. Just the space wasn't
Yes.
as conducive to it. So I think this will be more helpful. Maybe that process. I think give folks more opportunity to interact with animals as they consider adoption.
We
And
agree
maybe
with
Nick can
that.
adopt a couple more. As
Yeah,
well.
well, and as volunteers, you know, for us, that will give our volunteers an opportunity, like on days like this, when they can't walk dogs, then, like I said, it's literally just a couple minutes down the road. We can take those dogs to that facility if we don't have another event going on there, and they can exercise our animals. So it should help the adoptability of our animals also, so.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
I'm sorry, did you have something, Craig? No? Okay. Anybody else that wishes to speak in favor? Anybody that wishes to speak against? Hearing none, motion?
I move that we approve the special permit for the Humane Society operations at the former Camp Runnymede property in the M2P planned industrial district located at 3225 Airport Boulevard, be approved for the following reasons. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding area, and the request would not appear to have a negative impact on pedestrian or traffic conditions in the area.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. You got it. Okay, next, item number 3. Request by Jody Ryerson, Physical Therapy, for a special permit to allow for a home occupation in an accessory structure in the R2 1 and 2 Family Residence District located at 3027 Cedar Terrace Drive. Staff report?
This is Tamala with staff. The applicant is requesting the approval of a special permit to allow for home occupation from an accessory structure. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding neighborhood or land use, as directly to the south of the property in question is Zone M1 Light Industrial District. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on the pedestrian or traffic conditions in the area, as the proposed physical therapy practice would serve one client at a time. The lot in question is zoned R2 1 and 2 Family Residence District and has been zoned as such since ordinance number 3231 when it was rezoned from U1 unclassified on August 26, 1982. Surrounding land use and their zoning are as follows. North, residences zoned R2. East, residences zoned R2. South, industrial development zoned M1 Light Industrial District. To the west, residences zoned R2 and industrial development zoned M2P Planned Industrial District. The adjacent surrounding properties were primarily developed during the mid-20th century and some later during the late 2010s. There is an 8-inch water main and overhead electric running along Cedar Terrace Drive. The future land use map designates this area as low density residential. The request is in conformance with the future land use map, as the property is primarily used as a residence, which allows for a home occupation. Jody Ryerson Physical Therapy is requesting a special permit to allow for home occupation to operate a low-impact physical therapy practice from an accessory structure. Detached accessory structure would be built for this practice will be 30 foot by 50 foot, 1,500 square feet, with only 15 foot by 20 foot, 300 square feet of said detached structure to be used for the physical therapy practice, and the remaining 1,200 square feet will be used as garage and private space. This would comply with the ordinance, which states that no more than 3/4 of the allowed detached accessory structure space can be used for home occupation, as the maximum permitted square footage for home occupation with an accessory structure on the property in question would be 1,350 square feet. The detached structure seen on the aerial map have been demolished and no longer exist. The applicants plan to build, like I said, a 30 foot by 50 foot detached accessory structure for a home occupation. Request does not appear to have negative impact on the surrounding neighborhood or land use, as there are industrial uses to the south of the property in question. The request does not appear to have a negative impact on the pedestrian and traffic conditions in the area, as the applicant noted that they will serve one client at a time, which should minimize any potential traffic impact. Staff has heard one complaint from a homeowner in the neighborhood about the request at the October 14, 2025 Planning, Programming, and Zoning Commission meeting, stating concerns that it would bring increased traffic and a commercial aesthetic to a residential neighborhood with already the existing poor maintenance of the property in question. Fire department noted that there could be potential access issue. Therefore, staff recommends that the request by Jody Ryerson Physical Therapy for a special permit to allow for a home occupation in an accessory structure in the R2 1 and 2 family residence district located at 3027 Cedar Terrace Drive be approved for the following reasons. The request will not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding area. The request will not appear to have a negative impact on the pedestrian or traffic conditions in the area. Only 300 square feet of a 1,500 square foot detached accessory structure would be used for home occupation, subject to the following conditions. That code enforcement inspects the property in question 1 year from the date of approval.
Questions for staff? In your report, under staff recommendations, subject to the following conditions, that code enforcement inspects the property in question 1 year from the date of approval. Why is that there?
That was a condition put by Mr. Schoberg from the Planning, Programming, and Zoning Commission in their recommendation motion, as there have been concerns of poor maintenance and overgrowth on the property. So they put that in the motion as a condition.
Stay right there. Go ahead.
Well, I just want to follow up with that specific question. I was curious, is there a specific timeline in which you anticipate the building being built? If it's not built within a year, there's no purpose in having code inspection there, correct? There would be no building to inspect. So I was just curious about the timeline of the building construction as well.
The applicants can speak to the timeline of the accessory structure, but that condition was also for kind of a general condition, as irregardless of the detached structure being put up, there still are some maintenance and concerns with the property. And so they would want that addressed.
Okay.
Yeah, when I went out by there, it looked to me like there was a lot of miscellaneous stuff that could very well be housed in a building such as this, so which would be an improvement to the property.
Yes.
Any other questions for staff? Okay. Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to speak in favor of this? Please state your name and address.
I'm Jody Ryerson Mika, and we live at 426 Ivanhoe Road in Waterloo currently. I'm the owner and operator of the physical therapy company, wanting to have a special permit to allow me to have my physical therapy practice on our property. The buildings, your statement saying that things could be put into the building, that is our plan. We've taken down all the storage buildings that were present, as you can see from the visual of the property. We've taken down a 24 by 24 two-story barn, a garage, and a lean-to that was on the property for several years, and were in need of repair or being taken down. That's why the things are outside at this point, because we have no storage right now. The private practice that I own is a private pay practice. So the concerns that had been expressed previously at the other meeting about crime rate or high traffic is not a concern at this point. I was a little taken back by that complaint. The thoughts of my patients being criminals is kind of entertaining, to be honest. But we are planning to build the building this November. We have the permit from the city already in place, so the concrete and plumbing rough-in is already underway. It's going to be done by the end of October or early November, and then we plan to get the building up before the end of the year, so that all the miscellaneous stuff and the pod will be gone by the end of the year. My physical therapy practice, why I want to do it out at that property is because we're going to be building our home out there, and then we will be there to take care of the overgrowth and the appearance of the property. Over the past 3 years, we've made gains. Currently, my daughter and her family are living there, and because of life circumstances, schooling, and getting ready to move into a home that they're renovating, the property is not in great shape right now, and we're aware of that. But we also have the property at Ivanhoe that we're trying to keep ahead of Mother Nature. So therefore, the year time period will be great for us to get the property under control.
I just had a couple follow-up questions. I was curious, have you had any code enforcement issues in the past?
Well, last summer, there were, my daughter was living there on her own with 3 children, and there was for overgrowth issues at that point also.
And then lastly, I was just curious, like if you would guesstimate traffic for like a day when you're operating the business, how many clients would you imagine in a day?
Well, in a day, I see anywhere from probably 2 to 8. I treat for an hour at a time.
Okay.
So it's pretty low maintenance or low numbers. The signage would only be on the building on my front door so that they know which door to come in. And like I said, my patients, it'll be one patient at a time because I do manual therapy treatment.
Awesome. Thank you, Jody.
So,
Okay.
You state that you live at 426 Ivanhoe. Blackhawk County shows the listed owner of that property as Robert Class. Who
yes,
is that?
that's my husband here. When we got married, he took back his own name in Germany. He had taken his previous wife's name.
Okay. And you earlier stated that your daughter is presently living at the Cedar Terrace
Terrace, yes.
location? Explain how this structure is going to be occupied. What will it encompass?
Well, it's going to encompass garage space. Robert likes to do maintenance on his cars, so he's going to be using it for that. And then my physical therapy practice will also be housed there. There are no plans for him to have a business of auto repair or anything like that. We're just applying for the special permit for my practice so I can be, on the home base.
So how long have you owned this property on Cedar Terrace? 15 years. I'm sorry? 15 years. 15 years.
And we've been married since 2023, so just a few years.
Okay. I have some other comments, but I'll wait for a moment. Anything else for Jody? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else in the audience that wishes to speak in favor of this request? Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to speak against this request?
Mr. Chair, Dave Boson.
Hold on, Dave, just a moment. We have somebody at the podium.
Hi, my name is Cindy Huffman. I live at 184 Bell Street.
I was just concerned about the neglect to the property. I was happy that they talked about code enforcement coming out a year later, but just as he stated, he's had the property for 15 years. It's not just things in the yard because they tore the building down, like he noticed some things that could be housed, and Craig mentioned that they can go in that building. The overgrowth out there has been horrible from day one. I mean, there were some pictures up at the last meeting that we were at where you could see all the trees and voluntary trees growing around the house, the ditches. It's horrible. It's not just like this just happened. I mean, everybody's busy, but if you've owned the property for 15 years and it looks as tacky as it does today, and yeah, I realize they tore the yellow barn down, but they tore that barn down not even 2 months ago. If you've owned the property for that long, I'm just very concerned with how run down it is. And that's my biggest concern. I mean, like she said, traffic was one of my concerns to bring in strangers to the neighborhood. Maybe the crime rate would go up. And, you know, she says maybe just 2 to 8 people a day. Okay, that's fair. But the way the property looks now, there's so many things against code enforcement that's been that way. And I'm not quite sure why it hasn't been cleaned up before now talking about it. Everybody gets busy. There's lawn services and people that you can hire to take care of, you know, the property. But I guess that was my biggest concern.
Okay,
So,
right.
thank you.
thank you, Cindy. Mr. Bozen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just had a couple of concerns. It bothers me that we're kind of jumping the gun if we're starting construction on something that doesn't have a variance yet, number one. And number two, the plan is to tear this existing structure down with no time frame on building a new structure, and we're approving a variance for a commercial building accessory to a residential structure, and there won't be a residential structure there because it's going to get tore down. So then we just have a lot with a commercial structure on it. So when that planning and zoning, there was no time frame given when they were going to build another house.
This is Schrader with staff. I can try and comment on a couple of those. Regarding the building and construction starting ahead of the variance, the building does not need a variance. The use of a home occupation within the building needs the variance, so the building itself is completely per code and has a building permit and can continue to construct. To operate a home occupation out of an accessory building is what requires the special permit approval, which is before the board. A home occupation does have to be accessory to a home, so there does have to be a home on the property. She has noted an indication of demolishing the existing home and building a replacement home. As noted, they're under construction of the accessory structure. At whatever point they would propose to demolish the home, they would have to pull the permit to demolish the home and pull the permit to build the new home at the same time. And then they would have the normal time period that the building permit is valid for to construct that home and get it, to remain in compliance.
Okay.
And I appreciate your explanation. And what is that normal time frame?
6 months. Well, 6 months to begin construction and make continuous progress. So you can go beyond 6 months as long as you are making continuous progress on the construction.
So you could technically go a couple of years as long as you're making continuous progress without an occupied home on that structure, on that property.
I think that would typically be a rarity, but I suppose it is possible. So yeah, to avoid that concern, it certainly would be within the board's purview to put a condition that would limit the time period that the accessory building with a home occupation operating out of it could be there before a replacement home is built.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments.
Anyone else who wishes to speak against this request? Okay. Before we get to the motion portion of this, my personal comments are that I echo the concerns of the property overgrowth and the overall condition of the property. There's abandoned vehicles sitting there. It's the overall condition of this property really puts a scar on the rest of that residential area, which is quite well maintained. The other part of this is that I just don't feel that having a business on that side of Cedar Terrace, it's residential, I just don't think, I don't think it fits. Personally, I just don't think it fits. So, those are my comments. Okay.
I guess, and maybe not in contrast to that, but I guess my concern is, and I guess maybe this is more for staff to get insight and advisement on as well, is I guess what we're basing our judgment on. So I feel like if there's not substantive or substantive code enforcements that make this a no-go for the city and staff, that would be one thing. If there's a significant history, we're talking, we've gotten one instance, and so I'm not sure if it was just not enforced for 15 years or became an issue now, but I think we talked about one instance of that. But then secondarily, I think part of this is maybe natural consequences. If you have a business at a place that's not appealing, I think it's gonna be difficult for folks to wanna come there. I think if you've got an occupational therapy business and there's overgrowth, it's likely that folks won't wanna come there and drive past their appointment. I feel like that's maybe a natural consequence of not upkeeping the grounds of where your business is going to be. I'm not going to a restaurant that's overgrown and weeds growing around it. I'm going to drive past. And so maybe that's a natural consequence, but I don't know if that's for the board to decide. But I'd like to hear more from staff about some of the other code enforcement issues, because I hear you. I'm just trying to understand how we weigh that into kind of our judgment. I'm new to the board still, so I'm trying to figure out some of these processes that sometimes don't make quite sense to me.
Schrader with staff. So planning staff was not aware of any code enforcement issues prior to our site inspection of the site after the application was filed. So that's when we started having some of those conversations on some of those issues, the overgrowth and junk debris, vehicles, and the applicant, discussed what they're doing to try and rectify it, that they have recently removed the outbuildings, that they intend to get it all cleaned up, that they have started on cleaning that up. So I don't really know that, too much of the history on how far back it goes. It kind of sounds like maybe it has gone back for a while. So yeah, it may very well be that it was, kind of one that stayed underneath the radar. Maybe no one was complaining on it, so code enforcement wasn't aware of it. Not really sure on that.
I think it's probably reasonable to assume that a lot of the materials that are now laying around outside would be housed within this structure, so they would not be visible. That doesn't speak to the overgrowth and that kind of stuff, but
Yeah, the overgrowth will need to get addressed, and then all of the other junk material or inoperable or unlicensed vehicles will either need to go in the building or be removed from the property.
and that, sorry.
They've had 15 years to get this kept up. Now, all of a sudden, if this property has been in this condition for that long a time, I really question whether they're going to get it up to code and maintain it. That's one of my genuine concerns.
I'd say, the applicant can potentially address their, just thoughts on timelines for getting it up to, but, as you noted at the beginning of the meeting, it will take a unanimous vote of the 3 members. Since we're missing 2, you could look at tabling it as an alternative if you want some additional time to see what can be addressed from a violation standpoint.
Yes, I had a follow-up question. I was curious, Jody, do you currently operate your business out of the Ivanhoe address, or do you currently operate your home occupation service out of a different address?
Currently practicing in a Cedar Falls location. that I'm paying $800 a month for. That's part of the reason I want the home-based practice. The type of therapy I do lends itself well, actually, to an area like Cedar Terrace, because people who come are coming to a quiet space. It's not industrial. It's not like a regular physical therapy practice that you have, big gym area or anything like that. The cars in question are the projects that Robert is going to be working on. So they won't be abandoned, they won't be left out there. So the property the cars that are on the property are his projects.
But you said that there'd be no,
For himself, he's not running a business of fixing other people's cars. So that is the answer for the vehicles. My practice, if any of you would come, is a clean, beautiful space. I intend to have that out at Cedar Terrace. It's not going to be overgrown. I don't know, I've only known Robert for 4 years, 3 years. 22 is when we first met. When I first met him, the property was totally out of control, much worse than what it is now. Before we got married, my boys came out with construction equipment and cleared the space, and Mother Nature is trying to regain a foothold. I've been doing what I can, and with the building of this building and running a practice there, it will be up to code. It will be a beautiful space. Our home will be out there, and we're planning to start construction in the spring, is what our goal is. And we already have a floor plan for our house.
Jody, will all those cars be housed in that,
They will be
inside that
put,
building?
yes, they're in the building, and they're being fixed up so that, they're being able to be used.
There won't be any cars stored outside?
No,
Okay,
no.
thank you.
where is your business in Cedar Falls?
My business is at 415 State Street. I'm in Dr. Linda Durlam's chiropractic business currently.
And what type of physical therapy do you provide?
I do craniosacral therapy. I work with chronic pain patients mostly, people with stress response. I treat people that are as young as a few days old to 95 or more. I do a lot of hands-on like joint mobilization and soft tissue work so that people can restore their body's well-being.
I mean, I guess I don't think the board isn't really in the practice of advisement. I can say I don't anticipate a consensus, which is going to be necessary for passage. I think, though, this is an opportunity, maybe. I think you may get the opportunity to demonstrate that the property can be maintained and clean because you can still erect a structure, get those things off of the property. I think if you're still able to operate your business while you're at the Cedar Falls site, that's beneficial because you can still continue business operations while maybe you get this cleaned up, and then in the spring there's an opportunity to come back to the board with a cleaner slate. But I do think because of our numbers today, my recommendation would be that we table this. I think that gives an opportunity for you to maybe, in good faith, right, to your peers in the neighborhood, but as well to the board to begin that process of getting the property cleaned up a bit, so it's an easier vote. I think today those can be probably difficult for a consensus, but that's just my opinion.
I could support that.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay. So, thank
You
you.
going to make that as a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chair, let's see how we phrase this. I would recommend that the request by Jody Ryerson Physical Therapy for a special permit to allow for a home, occupation, and accessory structure in the R2 1 and 2 Family Residence District located at 3027 Cedar Terrace Drive be tabled for further discussion.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Okay, it's been tabled. Okay. Our next item is a request by Living Hope Baptist Church for a special permit to allow for the construction of a 32-foot by 48-foot accessory structure in the BP Business Park District located at 827 Fisher Drive. Staff report.
This is Gauman with staff. So as stated, the applicant is requesting a special permit to allow for the construction of an accessory structure to store church vehicles and equipment in. The request to allow for the construction of a new accessory structure does not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding area. The proposed special permit would not appear to have a negative impact on vehicular or pedestrian traffic. Conditions in the area the site is located off of Fisher Drive, which is a local road. The property in question has been zoned BP Business Park District since it was rezoned from A1 Agricultural District in February of 2004. Surrounding land uses and their zoning designations are as follows. To the north, commercial development, zone BP Business Park District, CP Planned Commercial District, and R4RP Planned Residence District. To the south is Highway 20 and the future South Waterloo Business Park. To the east is vacant land, zone BP Business Park District. To the west is Quick Star, zone BP Business Park District. The building at 827 Fisher Drive was built in 2008. It was originally occupied by Granger and is now owned by the Living Hope Baptist Church. The gas station was built in 2017. The other commercial development in the area were between 2008 and 2020. Landscaping is not required for this request, but screening could be a condition of, as a condition of approval. The future land use map designates this area as business park. This request would be in conformance with the comprehensive plan and future land use map. For this area, as religious facilities are allowed by special permits. The applicant is requesting a special permit to allow for the construction of an accessory structure for the church. The accessory structure the church is proposing to be built is going to be 32 feet by 48 feet, 1,536 square feet. Staff is concerned that the proposed design is not fitting with the existing church building or other area uses. The property is in the Highway 20 Corridor Overlay District. There are currently 343 parking spaces. The proposed structure would remove some parking spaces, but there will still be more than the minimum required for the use of the site. The proposed site plan shows the building to be 12 feet from the side lot line and 12 feet from the rear, normally in the Highway 20 Overlay District. Buildings are required to be set back 50 feet from the property line abutting Highway 20. However, when the principal structure on the lot was originally approved through a site plan amendment in 2008, the building was allowed to be set back 12 feet. Since the proposed structure will not be closer to the property line than the existing building, the location of the proposed structure would be okay. The design of the proposed structure is a concern for the staff. Since the property is in the Highway 20 Corridor Overlay District, additional requirements are set to help the city of Waterloo look nicer to the people traveling along Highway 20. It is important that the design of the proposed building be compatible with the existing development on the lot and fit in with the other area uses. Staff have determined that the current design of the proposed building is not compatible with the primary building on the lot. For instance, when Quick Trip Inc. built a 20-foot by 22-foot garage at the car wash site at 950 Tower Park Drive, it was constructed with vinyl siding, but of a color to match the coloring of material of the main building and roof matching the main building. In the technical review committee meeting, the building department commented that they will need stamped plans for the foundation. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the request unanimously with the condition that the building wall materials used be either stucco or EIFS. The commission looked at the building elevations that showed the possible use of stucco for the material if required. At the P&Z meeting, the church noted a willingness to change the design if necessary, but would still prefer to use the metal siding. Therefore, staff recommends that the request by Living Hope Baptist Church for a special permit to allow for the construction of a 32-foot by 48-foot accessory structure in the BP Business Park District located at 827 Fisher Drive be approved for the following reasons. 1, there does not appear to be a negative impact on the surrounding area. 2, the rear setback matches the setback of the existing building. And with the following conditions, that the building material used be changed to be compatible with the existing building on the lot,
that the final site plan meets all applicable city codes, regulations, etc., including but not limited to parking, landscaping, screening, drainage, etc. However, if the building material used are not changed, then staff would recommend that the request be denied for the following reasons. The building design is not compatible with the existing development.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for staff?
Yeah, I'm asked, I have a question. What specifically building materials would they have to use?
So the planning and zoning recommended either stucco or
Or
EIFS.
yeah.
Their site plan that they, building elevations did show that they could do stucco, but would still prefer to do the metal siding on the side, and the roof is fine being metal with that color matching the
Okay,
building.
so if we made a motion, would it have to be the building materials used be either stucco or EIFS?
You could
Or-
specify that, and that is what
We
staff
can
would.
specify that?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Help me with EFS. What is it?
I am not sure about that.
Okay, in layman's language.
If you go down West Fifth Street and see the,
Composite concrete siding?
no,
It's not the concrete siding, and EFS is an acronym, and I do not know what it stands for either, but it's like a paneled type system of, I think the actual material that EFS can be different, but it's more of a architecturally designed paneled system.
I think it's kind of a styrofoam-like material. If you go down the street here on the corner of West Fifth and Jefferson, the old motel that sits there, they recited that a few years ago with EFS.
So I think it's generally speaking similar to stucco.
Okay.
Which is, I think,
We'll go
why
with
the
that.
planning commission put either, which was, I think John's got looking
It's a
something up.
multi-layered exterior cladding that insulates and finishes walls.
Okay.
So
I
what
think
is
it was an
EIFS?
architect on the planning commission that recommended including that in the stucco or, and that the applicant's alternative that, they were proposing, if required, indicated stucco.
I would think EFS might be a little less expensive and easier to install than stucco, but.
I guess my question was more, it sounds like it's less of a recommendation and more of a requirement, right? That they use it because it says, when I read the however, if the building materials are not changed, then staff would recommend the request be denied. And so,
Yes, staff would recommend denial if not changed. The applicants indicated at the planning commission meeting an acceptance to do that if required, but noted they would still prefer to do the metal, which is why we left the staff report recommendation basically the same as when it went to the planning commission, since they're sort of accepting but still preferring to not. So yes, that's staff recommendation, and also the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation is to go with that changed design.
Okay, thank you.
because I'm just curious if they would have brought it to the board if they knew it was required.
Any other questions for staff? Anybody in the audience who wishes to speak in favor of this request?
My name is Gene Swanson. I live at 1825 Easton Avenue. I'm the deacon and chairman of property facilities for Living Hope Baptist Church. As was stated, we'd like to have this building to store our vehicles in and enclosed trailers and some of our equipment and things like that. As far as the outside structure of the building, they make stucco panels. That's what we were going to use to be in compliant. We'd still like to do the steel if that's okay. It doesn't matter to us, whatever you approve. VGM building has a steel building. the colors match. Our colors will match regardless of what materials used. The metal roof will be the same color as the existing building. And that's basically it.
Rose? Okay. When this area was platted, it was platted as a professional business park. I personally feel it's very, very important to maintain that integrity.
Exactly. That's why we would be in compliant with the covenant that's out there now. Stucco is approved to be in compliant with that covenant.
Hold on. We're good with that then? Stucco? Okay. So then let's completely get away from steel. That's not gonna happen.
Okay.
All right? You've already indicated that you would do stucco, and that would make it compliant.
Sure.
And make it, maintain that professional-looking
And
building that
yep.
all the other buildings out there have. Okay, that's the only question I have. Anybody else? No? Okay, thank you. Anybody else in the audience that wishes to speak in favor of this request? Anybody in the audience that wishes to speak against this request? Hearing none, make a motion.
I move that the request by Living Hope Baptist Church for a special permit to allow for the construction of a 32-foot by 48-foot accessory structure in the BP Business Park District located at 827 Fisher Drive be approved for the following reasons. There does not appear to be a negative impact on the surrounding area, and the rear setback matches the setback of the existing building. And with the following condition, that the building materials used be changed to be compatible with the existing building on the lot, that the final site plan meets all applicable city codes, regulations, and so on, including but not limited to parking, landscaping, screening, drainage, and so forth. If the building materials used are not changed to stucco or ephes, staff would recommend that the request be denied for the following reason: the building design is not compatible with the existing development.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Does that adequately cover what we're trying to accomplish here?
Stucco or ephes with color to match the existing building.
With, I'm sorry, color what?
To match the existing building, which they said they were gonna do anyway.
Okay.
So do we need to amend the motion?
No, I think we got it. Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Stucco it is. Okay. We're going to jump to what's on our agenda as number 7, but in reality, it's number 6.
Of course, that number changes because
Say that again.
that number would change too, so just don't say it.
You will say it?
Well,
Don't
I
say it.
Yeah, don't bother saying it.
All right. Okay, the next item is a request by Evan William Sadler for a variance to the accessory structure square footage limit to allow for construction of a 3,400 square foot accessory structure for a total of 3,000, is that correct then?
No, that's
That's all
changed too.
changed too.
Yeah.
Why don't you take a stab at this? Yeah, okay.
So this is a request by Evan William Sadler for a variance to the accessory structure square footage limit to allow for construction of a 3,400 square foot accessory structure for a total of 4,384 square feet of accessory structure, 2,584 square feet more than the 1,800 square feet allowed, and a variance to the accessory structure height limit to allow for a height of 18.5 feet, 3.5 feet more than the 15-foot allowed, in conjunction with a one-story home in the A1 Agricultural District located at 3354 East Chalice Road.
Hold on a minute, let me check your numbers here. The third sentence of accessory structure, what was it, 2584?
Yeah, 2584 on the fourth line.
And then feet more than the 1800 still correct?
So that, yeah, 1800 is the cap.
Okay, all right, okay, proceed.
Property is located at 3354 East Charles Road and is zoned A1 Agricultural District and has been zoned as such since the adoption of the zoning ordinance in 1969. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on the neighborhood as this area is more rural than most areas of the city, and the other properties in the area have detached structures that are greater than the 1,800 square foot cap, and one that is also above the 6% of the lot size. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on traffic conditions in the area. The request would appear to conform with the classification of this area as low-density residential on the future land use map. The section of zoning ordinance that pertains to this request, Chapter 5, General Regulations 10-5-1E, accessory structures. The applicant is requesting a variance to build an accessory structure that will be 50 feet by 68 feet, 3,400 square feet, and will be approximately 18.5 feet tall. The building will be used as personal garage space for hobbies and for storage. The zoning ordinance limits detached accessory structures to 15 feet in height when the house on the lot is a single story. The zoning ordinance also limits detached accessory structure square footage to a maximum of 6% of the lot size with a cap at 1,800 square feet. The proposed structure will be approximately 18.5 feet tall, 3.5 feet above the height limit in the ordinance. However, if the house on the property were 2 stories tall, then this height would be close to what is allowed without a variance. There are a few split level or 2-story homes in the area. 6% of the lot size is 3,450 square feet. There is already 984 square feet of detached structures on the property. That is excluding the storage shed that will be demolished when the proposed structure is built. The proposed structure would put the total square footage at 4,384 square feet. This is 2,584 square feet above the 1,800 square foot cap and 934 square feet above the 6% of the lot size. This area is more rural. The property to the rear of the applicant's house is currently a farm field. There are 4 other properties in the vicinity that also have detached structures that total to be greater than the 1,800 square feet allowed. One of those properties also exceeds the 6% of the lot size. The applicant was previously requesting a 40-foot by 68-foot, 2,720 square foot structure, but asked staff to update his request to request the variance to be able to build a 50-foot by 68-foot, 3,400 square foot structure. Staff calculated the height of the building using the building width, sidewall height, and probable roof slope criteria. Lack of reasonable return. There would not appear to be a lack of reasonable return as the owner could build a building that meets the height and size requirements of the zoning ordinance. Uniqueness. There would appear to be a uniqueness to this request as there are other properties in the area that also have more detached structures than allowed by the zoning ordinance. The proposed building would not appear to be out of character with the neighborhood. Public considerations. Approval of the variance would not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding area, and the applicant has provided signatures of neighbors who have no objections to the variance request. Therefore, staff recommends that the request by Evan William Sadler for a variance to the accessory structure square foot limit to allow for a construction of a 3,400 square foot accessory structure for a total of 4,384 square feet of accessory structures, 2,584 square feet more than the 1,800 square feet allowed, and a variance to the accessory structure height limit to allow for a height of 18.5 feet, 3.5 feet more than the 15-foot allowed in conjunction with a 1-story home in the A1 Agricultural District located at 3354 East Charlottes Road be approved for the following reasons. There would appear to be uniqueness to the request as there are other properties that also have greater than allowed square footage of detached structures. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on the neighborhood, and with the following condition that the structure be built in the rear 50% of the lot.
Thank you. Questions for staff? Okay. Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to speak in favor of this request? Name and address, please.
I'm Evan William Sadler, property owner, 3354 East Shawless Road. Ever since I bought the property in 2008 and started fixing it up, this has kind of been a dream of building this big garage, and I'm ready to move forward with it.
Okay. What type of business do you have, sir?
I have a concrete construction business, which is run out of a commercial property that we have downtown Waterloo.
Where is that?
It's on 14th Street in Commercial.
Okay. And as staff indicated, there's an older shed on the back side of the property. That goes away,
Yes.
correct? And then there's like a lean-to attached to the garage?
That is attached to
or
an
whatever.
existing,
That stays,
that will stay.
okay.
There is plans in the future for that garage and that lean-to to get torn down if we decide to put an attached garage on the house, but that's down the road quite a ways.
Okay. And this new structure is not for business?
Absolutely not.
None
My
of
wife
your,
would kill
none of
me.
your business equipment will be located there?
No, I'll never have employees coming or going from my house.
Okay,
No.
just for your toys?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Yeah, I have a question. There are four, at the back of your lot, in the picture, it looks like there are four, could be semi-trailer truck.
Those, I have pallets back there with firewood on them, and that's just metal over the top that you're seeing.
Okay,
It keeps the firewood dry.
okay. All right, I just thought maybe you had some semi-trailers stored back there.
No.
Okay, any other questions from staff? No, all right. Thank you, sir. Anybody else in the audience that wishes to speak in favor of this request? Anybody who wishes to speak against this request? All right. If we have our numbers right, anybody want to take a shot at this?
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna try to see if I can abbreviate it a little bit. No, I will move to recommend that the request by Evan Williams Sadler for a variance to the accessory structure square footage limit to allow for construction of a
34.
3,400.
Thank you. There we go. The revised version. Construction of a 3,400 square foot accessory structure for a total of 4,384 square feet of accessory structures, 2,584 square feet more than the 1,800 square feet allowed, and a variance to the accessory structure height limit to allow for 18.5 feet, 3.5 feet more than the 15 feet allowed in conjunction with one-story home in the A1 agricultural district located at 3354 East Shawless Road be approved for the following reasons. There appear to be uniqueness for the request as there are other properties that also have greater than the allowed square footage of detached structures. The request would not appear to have a significant impact on the neighborhood, a negative impact on the neighborhood, and with the following condition, that the structure be built in the rear 50% of the lot.
Second.
Okay, first and second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Get her done. Okay. Our last item is a request by Our Savior's Lutheran Church for a variance to allow for an existing 768 square foot accessory structure without a primary structure in the R2 1 and 2 family residence district located west of 401 Harwood Avenue to allow the church to sell the property. Staff report.
This is Dornoff with staff. The applicant is requesting a variance to allow for an accessory structure without a primary structure in order to allow the lot to be sold by the church and have a home built on the site. The property is located at 403 Harwood Avenue. The site is currently zoned R2 1 and 2 family residence district, zoned as such since the adoption of the zoning ordinance in 1969. A majority of the surrounding properties are also zoned R2. The section of the zoning ordinance pertains to this request, Chapter 5, General Regulations, 10-5-1E, accessory structures. No accessory structure shall be erected until the principal permitted use. The applicants are requesting a variance to allow for an accessory structure without a primary structure to allow for the applicant to sell the property to a party that is looking to build a new home on the site. On September 28th, 1993, the Board of Adjustment approved a special permit to allow for the church to have an off-premise garage on the lot, which was donated to the church by a member of the congregation. The variance only covers the garage while it is actually owned by the church. Therefore, if they sell the property, the garage would become a non-conforming structure. Therefore, they are asking for the variance in order to be able to sell the property. The people have made an offer to purchase the property and are planning to build a house on the property. Therefore, staff knows concerns about the variance being issued, although it would recommend a 2-year variance, which would allow for the new homeowners enough time to be able to build a new home and get approved, which may need come back to the board for some variances. Criteria: lack of reasonable return. There would not appear to be a lack of reasonable return. There would appear to be a lack of reasonable return, as a special permit issued by the Board of Adjustment on September 28, 1993, only allows for a garage while owned by the church. Uniqueness: there would appear to be uniqueness to the request, as the party purchasing the lot and the garage are planning to build a new home in the next 24 months. Public consideration: there will not appear to negative impact on the neighborhood, as staff has not heard any opposition to the request, and the neighboring properties to the south are other other adjacent residences have signed a letter saying they were approving of the sale and did not want the property. Therefore, staff recommends that the request by Our Savior's Lutheran Church for a variance to allow for an existing 768 square foot accessory structure without a primary structure in the R2 1 and 2 family residence district located at 401 Harwood Avenue to allow for the church to sell the property be approved for 2 years for the following reasons. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on the area. The request would appear to be uniqueness, as the contracted buyer are planning to build a single family home on the site. There would appear to be a lack of reasonable return, as special permit only allows the garage if owned by the church, with the following condition: that a home is built on the lot within 2 years, or the garage is removed from the property.
Questions for staff? I have one. At the bottom of page 85, would recommend a 2-year variance, which would allow the new owners enough time to get a new home approved by which need to come through the Board of Variances. Why?
The lot's narrow, so they may need a
Setback?
and possibly lot coverage, because it may be over 35% of the lot coverage.
The residents?
Home. We haven't seen the plan, so we don't know for sure.
They'll fit a really small house without variance.
Yeah, exactly.
Without variances. But there's enough room, if you will, with variances.
To build a home, yes.
And roughly, what would we be looking at in terms of what variance? I guess in terms of feet, roughly.
We wouldn't know until we actually see the house plans.
Okay.
I mean, looks like it's gonna be bigger than the garage. It's gonna have to be on the lot line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Darn nice
looks
garage,
like
really.
Yeah.
The garage looks like it's
Yeah.
one side of the lot to the other,
Yeah.
but
Okay. Any other questions for staff? Anybody in the audience that wishes to speak in favor of this request?
Good afternoon. My name's Todd Moline. My address is 927 Lorraine Avenue in Waterloo. I'm the congregational president of Our Savior's Lutheran Church, and we're located at 420 Harwood, across the street from this property. Like the background said, this property was given to us, and a previous Board of Adjustment allowed us to build a garage on it approximately 30-some years ago. As times change now, we no longer have a church transportation system, and with insurance costs anymore, it's kind of prohibitive from ever having a transportation system. So at this point, we'd like to sell this property and reduce our maintenance, insurance, and utility costs, and return this property back to the public tax rolls.
And from what we've provided, you do have a buyer?
Yes, I've got a signed agreement there, and I think we had previously submitted it. The buyer's real estate agent is here as well.
Okay. Hold on here. So if you have a buyer that follows through with this, the garage stays in place?
Correct, that was our
and
understanding.
They
that-
come up with a house plan? Okay, all right. Any other questions for Todd? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody else that wishes to speak in favor of this? How about you come forward? Name and address, please.
Braden Bauman, 4835 Yellowstone Drive, Waterloo, Iowa.
I guess my question is, how solid is this buyer?
They're very serious about it. They actually renovate a lot of houses and sell them. They're looking at this point to sell their current house that they're in, build at this one, and they just want to downsize. So it's kind of the perfect fit for them, just to build something small.
So anticipated closure on this?
Well, we close on Friday. Yeah, we're planning to close on Friday, cash deal. Yeah, cash offer. So it'll go through. I mean, as long as we get the approval for it, it'll go through.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
That was painless, wasn't it?
You can be intimidating, though.
Okay, any other discussion on this? If not, make a motion.
This one on,
One of you.
this one on Craig.
I'll make the motion to approve the request by Our Savior's Lutheran Church for a variance to allow for an existing, 768 square foot accessory structure without a primary structure in the R2 1 and 2 family residence district located west of 401 Harwood Avenue, to allow the church to sell the property, that this be approved for 2 years for the following reasons. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on the area. The request would appear to be a uniqueness, as the contracted buyers are planning to build a single-family home on the site. There would appear to be a lack of reasonable return, as previous special permit only allows the garage if owned by the church. And with the following condition, that a home is built on the lot within 2 years, or the garage is removed from the property.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carried. There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. I'm not gonna hold you guys hostage much longer.
No, we're good, we're good.
But I have a couple of discussion items. Last month, we denied the Islamic Center about their parking and all of that stuff. And I think it was said that they have 60 days to comply. When is that 60 days up? I calculated December 1st. Is it correct?
No, November 30th technically, but they have contacted me and contacted the city engineer saying that they have the money to pave.
Okay.
And so they're gonna pave.
When?
Well, hopefully soon, since, I mean, usually the concrete
And they're
plants
gonna
close
hope.
around the end of the month, so,
Well, remember, this has been going on since 2011.
oh, I know.
So, we need to keep their feet to the fire.
Oh, yes.
We're gonna throw this back to you guys then.
Oh,
so-
yeah. I sent them a letter saying this is what the situation is, since you weren't there. And those letters always get a copy to Maria, so she keeps a track of them.
Okay, all right, thank you. Next item, we denied RPM Motors to keep a storage container on their property on Thorndale between Falls and whatever. Today was the day it was to be removed. Prior to coming to this meeting, it was still there. So when do citations start to roll out? Okay. Okay. Eric, I'm going to put you on the spot for just a moment. Recently, I had a conversation with Eric, and I asked him if there is a shelf life on our decisions. And he stated, well, no, well, and yes. So as is many of the things that we deal with, it's not black and white, it's very multicolored. But the information he shot at me was enlightening. Respectfully, next month, when hopefully all of us are here, would you be willing to give a brief explanation on this in layman's terms and enlighten us on whether we have shelf life or not?
Schrader with staff. Yep, happy to do that, and maybe also kind of talk about the potential options. I think there could be some legal issues if we try and put a shelf life on variances. Special permits are the ones that sort of have it now and would potentially have, you know, some wiggle room that could be amended to be more of an automatic shelf life rather than a potential shelf life if the board brings it back up, which is what it is now. But yep, we can look at it more next month.
Okay, perfect. One other thing, I think we've had this discussion before, but it refresh my memory. Who is the enforcement arm of planning and zoning? In other words, who goes out and makes sure that things that we approved are being done correctly and things that we've denied are not being done?
This is Schrader with staff. It would be kind of a combination of either the staff person that's assigned that report, which is generally going to be the staff person that presents the report at the Board of Adjustment meeting, or code enforcement, or kind of a combination of both, depending on what the violation is. When it's more of a zoning violation that gets into interpretation of the code for things like number of parking spaces required or square footage of a building allowed or things like that, then we'll normally just do letters addressing issues. If it gets to the point where a citation actually needs to be issued, that would be done by code enforcement.
And there's no other city departments like, I don't know, the building for permits or anybody else that would go out and follow up on these things to make sure they're being done or not done?
If it's a zoning violation, probably not. Building, if there's something there already going out for a building permit inspection purpose, may work with us and let us know of issues that they see, but they wouldn't directly go do a site inspection for something anticipated to specifically be a zoning issue and not a building permit issue.
Okay, perfect. So we'll have your shelf life presentation during the discussion phase next month. Thank you.
And maybe a part of that would be, I think when we table a topic,
sure.
In my brain, it just kind of goes into wherever the cloud is, right? But in reality, is there a timeline for which, I know I've reached out or wrote a letter. I'm curious if you all, as staff, reach out within 60 days or something, if it's up to the applicant to then go through the process and get back on the agenda?
Yeah, so when something is tabled, it would be your option to table it to a specific meeting, but you don't have to. It's certain, like this one was just, tabled without a specified date, which effectively means tabled indefinitely, till those, whatever reason you're tabling it gets addressed, and then it would be brought back. So yeah, when it's tabled without a specific date, our office will contact the applicant. usually probably within, you know, the next day or few days after the meeting, just to kind of talk about anticipated timeline. Perhaps it's something they know that they're not going to be ready for the next month's meeting, so then, you know, we'll kind of get back with them when they anticipate, or if they think they can get stuff addressed and be ready for the next meeting, then we would work with them, make sure they are, and then re-put them on the agenda.
Okay, that makes sense. That was my assumption with this specific case. It seems like it may be a circumstance that it wasn't gonna take a month. No. Right? You may not know this impact until after the spring, so my hope is that, right, that's what we, thank you, that's really helpful, Eric, thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks, Eric. The only other thing we have is determination of cancellation of the December 23rd, 2025 meeting. Any issues with that?
I'm okay with it.
Okay, there'll be no December 23rd, 2025 Board of Adjustment meeting.
Got to vote for it.
So we need to make a motion.
I move that we cancel the December 23rd, 2025 meeting of the, Board of Adjustment.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion to
John-
adjourn? I'm sorry.
John, you mentioned that you wanted Eric to be brief. I've known Eric for 30-plus years, and that's not a word in his
But,
vocabulary.
but,
I like Eric. I think
Okay.
he's a wonderful guy.
but you did notice that I emphasized those words.
You did.
Brief and user-friendly, okay? Hopefully he's listening. Okay, anyway,
I move we adjourn.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.